Brewbird. Today we're going back to basics to discuss pH and why it's important in the alcohol industry. So let's go! I'm sure we are all familiar with pH. It's the scale we use to measure how acidic and basic solutions are. pH is a logarithmic scale that runs from 0 to 14, although it is possible to get a pH that falls below 0. Pure water has a pH of 7, which is neutral, while anything under 7 is acidic and anything above 7 is basic or alkaline. Now you might think that the difference between a pH of 5 and 4 isn't that great, since there's only a difference of 1 pH. But you'd be wrong. The important thing to keep in mind about pH is that it's a logarithmic scale. So something with a pH of 4 is 10 times more acidic than something with a pH of 5, and 100 times more acidic than something with a pH of 6. pH stands for power of hydrogen and measures the amount of hydrogen ions that exist in a given solution. While this might seem counterintuitive, substances that have a high concentration of hydrogen ions have low pHs and are acidic, whereas substances with a low concentration of hydrogen ions have higher pHs and are basic. In scientific terms, pH is defined as the negative logarithm of hydrogen ion concentration. It's because of this negative sign that the pH is inversely proportional to the concentration of hydrogen ions. The concept of pH was first introduced by a Danish chemist at the Carlsberg Laboratory in 1909. This Carlsberg laboratory was founded by the same person who founded the Carlsberg Brewery, and so the lab's purpose was to advance biochemical knowledge, especially as it related to brewing beer. Well, look at that. I didn't expect pH to be tied so closely to the alcohol industry either. While we're at it, here's another fun fact about pH. Only solutions that are aqueous, or in other words contain water, have a pH. That means that substances like oil, gasoline, and pure alcohol have no pH. Let's look at some common substances and their pHs. Our stomach has a pH around 1. Lemon juice has a pH around 2. Coffee has a pH of about 5, and milk has a pH around 6. Since these all have a pH under 7, they're considered acids. Generally speaking, acids taste sour, while bases taste bitter. Common basic substances are baking soda, with a pH around 9, soap, with a pH around 12, and bleach, with a pH around 13. Now let's move on to the good part. What about the pH of alcohol? According to the Food FAQ website, which ranked over 20 different types of alcoholic drinks by acidity, limoncello is one of the most acidic drinks you can have, since it's made primarily from lemons. It has a pH between 2 and 3. Champagne is also very acidic at around 2.9. Hard apple ciders have a pH around 2.9 to 3.3, and white wine has a pH between 3.1 to 3.4. Many people don't realize it, but white wine is more acidic than red wine, with red wine having a pH that ranges between 3.5 to 3.8. Tequila has a pH around 3. Whiskey has a pH around 3.6 to 4.7, and vodka, one of the most popular types of alcohol for mixing drinks, has a pH between 4 and 6. Rum has a pH around 4.8. When it comes to beers, the pH differs depending on what style of beer we're talking about. Lager beers have a pH of 4.4 to 4.7, while stout beers have a pH around 3.8. Surprisingly, gin has an average pH of 7, making it neutral. If you like drinking alcohol but suffer from GERD, then the pH of these drinks are good to keep in mind, since very acidic drinks are known to worsen or trigger acid reflux. Not to mention, these acidic drinks are bad for your teeth, as they wear away at the enamel that protects your teeth and can open the door for bacteria to cause cavities and infections. Besides drinking alcohol, pH is important when making alcohol as well. For instance, when we're brewing beer, the pH of the mash is crucial to how successful our brew will be. Certain enzymes in the malt will only work at a specific pH. If the pH is wrong, this can denature enzymes and stop the necessary reactions from taking place to extract the sugars from our malts. If we aren't able to extract the sugars, that means we won't be able to produce the alcohol we want. This is why it's so important that brewers and distillers keep track of the pH during mashing and fermentation, since this will be a strong indicator of how well our production process is going. Brewers can quickly test pH with litmus paper strips, and these are pieces of paper that have been treated with a specific indicator dye. Usually, litmus paper is either red or blue. Red paper turns blue when the pH is alkaline, while blue paper turns red when the pH turns acidic. If the paper turns purple, this indicates the pH is near neutral. While the litmus test is simple and fast, it is limited in that it doesn't actually tell you the true pH number. It just acts as a rough indicator of whether something is an acid or a base. Another way to test pH is with pH paper, which is similar to litmus paper strips but provide a better estimate of the pH of a substance. Another popular way to test pH in a brewery is to perform an acid-base indicator test. This is when a chemical compound is added to an aqueous solution to determine if it's acidic or basic. Were you surprised to find that almost all alcoholic drinks are acidic? Let me know in the comments down below if anything about pH surprised you today. In the meantime, please give this video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more distilling, brewing, and drinks videos. This is Brewbird, sending good vibes your way. I'll see you next time!